There are several reasons which can trigger the reactive state. The trigger points from early childhood: stress, group effect, sudden gains or losses, influence of inflaming individuals. Let's start from the early childhood. As infants or young children, we are connected with the surrounding completely, feel everything so intensely, and that feelings, for example, happiness, hatred, envy, insecurity, no matter positive or negative feelings, they are buried deeply in our memory and with us the whole life. Later in life, if someone or certain events trigger the memory, we may misread the present and react to something in the past. For example, if a child is not given enough attention and care from the parent, he might think he doesn't deserve love, but abandonment. The strong fear of not being loved lingers around him all the time. When he becomes an adult, if the partner disapproves of certain actions of his, which is normal for a healthy relationship, but that triggers his deep memory as a child who has not been loved or even been abandoned. He overreacts due to the strong fear from early childhood, not the reality at that moment with the partner. That leads to conflicts, disappointments, and mistrust. To master the strong emotions triggered by memory from early childhood, firstly, observe yourself with detachment to see if you react intensely like a child all of a sudden, such as withdraw, rebel, desperate for love. Do you experience uncontrollable and primal emotions? Do you seem like out of character with a very different tones of voice and body language? If you find yourself in such situation, then try to calm down, begin to think about the possible sources from early childhood. Try to figure out to which story in the past this strong impulse might be related or similar. Once you find out the source, face the deep fear. Tell yourself that is what happened in the past. Accept it, but the reality is different now. Then analyze the reality as it is, with clarity. Try to find proper solutions. This takes lots of time and patience. You need to train yourself in this way every time when the emotions come. Try to reprogram your mind to react differently. Next, let's talk about stress. Stress is a common topic in this modern life. We may notice that when we are under a certain amount of pressure, we tend to lash out in anger, become paranoid, hypersensitive, and anxious with petty things. We always say to see a person who he really is, give him power, but stress also works accidentally for this purpose. Under stress, the most primitive parts of brain are engaged. People's cool mask of self-control may come off. Therefore, the true character shows up and their flaws become obvious. Next time, when you feel super anxious or your bad temper comes, try to observe yourself with detachment to see if you have any signs of unusual sensitivity, sudden suspicion, or fears disproportionate to the circumstances. Self-awareness is the first and the most important step. Afterwards, a deep self-reflection helps you figure out where the stress comes from. It comes from overwhelming workload, bad relationships with people, or lack of life purpose. Here, I would like to add a small tip for stress reducing. The best way to cure stress is to solve the problem which causes the stress. If the problem is quite big, try to make it into mini tasks. Every time you achieve one step, your stress relieves a little bit more. Group effect. Group effect is somehow similar with the group bias we talked about before. Both means that your idea is not completely your idea. You are influenced by the people around you. Group bias is subtle and happens unconsciously. Step by step, your mind is shaped by the environment and the group you usually associated with. The group effect is when you are in a large group. You are naturally catched up in collective emotions. It is so intense, your heart beats faster, tears of joy or sadness come. It arises extreme excitement, love, hatred, or resentment. It is not very dangerous if you just attend a live concert of a pop star and are influenced by the strong passion of the crowd. You sing, dance, and cry with the people. But if you are fooled to join radical groups, things can become terrifying. Therefore, try to avoid group setting if the group emotions are destructive. Maintain reasoning powers and independent thinking. If it is not possible to avoid the group, then keep doubly wary and skeptical. Think for yourself. That is most valuable treasure you have. Sudden gains or losses. Sudden gains or losses brings inevitable dramatic emotion changes. When we gain something huge suddenly, as a greedy creature, we humans are naturally desire to repeat the winning experiences, become grandiose and resistant to anyone who tries to warn us. And this leads to inevitable fall. Facing unexpected losses or a string of losses, we begin to think that we are cursed to fail infinitely, become fearful to lose again, which cause more mistakes and failures until you stop trying. Facing these situations, step back and try to counterbalance with some pessimism or optimism. When you gain, don't forget that true success requires efforts and years of hard work. Luck and help from others also play huge roles. When you lose, don't imagine you are cursed with bad luck. Stop worrying, just do it again. Imagine yourself as a fearless, lifelong warrior who is gonna to fight until you succeed. Inflaming individuals. There are people who have the talent to trigger powerful emotions in almost everyone. Robert gave them a name, inflaming individuals. Some of them can be quite narcissistic. They project their internal drama and troubles outward, arising strong attraction in some and repulsion in others. They usually cast a larger-than-life image, create myths around them, and call for extreme actions. People following them lose their capability of reasoning and cannot maintain distance to them. To handle inflaming individuals in a proper way, recognize them according to the characteristics mentioned above, and demythologize them by thinking that we are all human with weakness and insecurities. Besides the 6 mental biases and 5 deep reasons triggering reactive state, Robert also recommends some valuable strategies to help us achieve rationality. Know yourself thoroughly. Step back, examine your emotions to roots. Accept people as facts. Balance mind and emotions. Love rationality. Let's start from the first one. Know yourself thoroughly. It includes mainly 4 aspects. Firstly, catch your emotional self. Before making decisions or judgment, try to step back to be aware of which emotions do you feel. Do they strongly influence your decision, and how? Secondly, what your weaknesses are under stressful situations. Observe carefully how you react and handle stress. That provides valuable information to get to know yourself on a deeper level. Thirdly, see behavior patterns, especially if you make ineffective decisions. Analyze the source of the patterns and try to counteract in the next decision. Fourthly, what is your strength or uniqueness? After you figure out these 4 aspects, you have already built up a deeper understanding of yourself. This helps you decide on goals that match with long-term interests and are aligned with your skills. You will be able to resist the pull of group bias and group effect. The second strategy, step back, examine your emotions to roots. When we give the right to make decisions to the emotional self, we tend to behave out of character and make bad decisions. To save yourself from that, withdraw yourself from people. Be alone. That is your isolated mentalhood. No phone calls or any communications before you completely cool your emotions down and find neutral position. Dig below the trigger points to see where it started. It is triggered by wounds from early childhood, or stress, or collective emotions. Afterwards, like we mentioned during the low or high-grade irrationality, observe yourself with detachment, maybe also add some humor. When you have distance from your emotional self, you do not take that personally, and you will be more relaxed to make jokes about it. The third strategy, accept people as facts. Very often, we get angry because of people, because we want them to act as we want, but they do not. Therefore, it is important to accept people as facts, as who they are. No expectation, no judgment, and no desire to change them. Simply be happy with what they gave. The fourth strategy, balance thinking and emotions. As we mentioned at the very beginning, having emotions is not something wrong. Instead, it can serve us to reach our goals. What we are looking for is a proper ratio and balance between emotions and thinking, the one that leads to the most effective action. Robert uses a vivid metaphor from ancient Greek to explain the dynamic relation between the thinking and emotions. The rider is our thinking self, skepticism, and the horse is our emotional nature, curiosity, which fills us with energy and power, impelling us to move. The rider guides the direction, and the horse gives full power to head to the goal. To make the horse and rider work together, we should think as deep and much as possible before making a decision. Once we decide, we should enter action with great boldness and adventure spirit. A perfect balance between skepticism, the rider, and curiosity, the horse, can be interpreted that we should maintain the elasticity spirit like a child, interested in everything, while verifying and scrutinizing rigorously for all ideas and beliefs. The fifth strategy, love rationality. In order to become rational, we must train ourselves heartily, but it doesn't mean that the path to rationality is full of pain and torture. Instead, it's like a beautiful Athena bringing us calmness, clarity, mental space, and creativity, which leads to less conflicts and more effective actions. Imagine that one day you can master yourself in a deeper way. How satisfying that will be. Therefore, we should love rationality, and only with this attitude we are motivated to overcome all the difficulties on the way and to achieve the power of rationality. That's all for this lecture. Congratulations! Well done! You just studied the laws of irrationality. Now you can answer the 3 questions confidently. What is fundamental irrationality? Irrational versus rational. And how to achieve rationality. I hope you enjoy it and pick up something useful for your life. If you like our videos, don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe our channel. That will be great if you can turn on the little bell for up-to-date notifications. Thank you so much for your valuable time and efforts dedicated for your mental health. I'm Muli from Little Wisdom. Wish you have a wonderful day and see you in the next videos.